Alright, folks, it's another one of them Dawson's Cracks. What's Dawson's Crack, you ask? Well, it is the one and only Dawson's Creek Rewatch First Time Watch podcast / carcast. Apologize for the rain noise today. It is really rough outside. So we're going to be doing another one of those episodes, and today it's going to be Season 1, Episode 8 of Dawson's Creek, and it's going to be Episode 7 of Dawson's Crack. And we're going to start it like we always start it with the summary. So this episode is Dawson's less than thrilled when Jen's ex-boyfriend shows up in Capeside, and Mitch and Dawson's mom try to rebuild their broken marriage after finding out about her affair by taking scuba lessons. We start the episode the same way almost every single episode starts, with Dawson in his bedroom watching TV. Joey comes climbing in through the window. She's complaining about the fact that it's too loud at her house because of a brand new nephew. Dawson says, hey, why don't you crash here? She ends up crashing on the bed while they're watching something with Gary Cooper in it, I guess. And the scene cuts to the next scene where Dawson's mom and Mitch are talking about a variety of wacky shit. That takes us immediately to downtown with Pacey. Pacey's hanging out talking shit to some old dude about how boring it is in Capeside. And then this dude in a red convertible comes flying up, talking to Pacey. He asks him where the high school is, and Pacey says, hey, I'm headed there right now. You want to give me a ride? And the dude says, no, I'm far too reckless a driver for any of that, and won't let him in, and then squeals away. Now, this scene's a little weird because the dude who pulls up is a complete stranger to Pacey, and Pacey's just like, oh yeah, I'm going to jump in the car with this random stranger to go to high school? I don't know, that's weird. We cut away from that to Joey talking to her sister about how loud her brand new baby is and how she can't get in the bathroom. Kind of just an innocuous, stupid moment. That's when we cut back to Jen and Dawson in the hallway at school talking, and then the red convertible guy pulls up, comes out, and it turns out this guy's name is Billy, and Billy is Jen's ex from New York City. He claims he's driven all night. She says New York's only 4 hours away, so now you know how close Capeside is to New York, even though Capeside, of course, is a fictional town. And he says, well, I got lost on the way. And presumably this is the dude that got Jen exiled to Capeside in the first place, you can guess. And in my opinion, that dude's obviously a predator, because when you talk about the relationship they had, it was clearly not good and borderline, you know what I mean? So I don't think you should talk to this dude, get anywhere near this dude. He offers her a ride, and she says, all right, we'll take a quick ride and try to catch up on things, which I do not think you should do, Jen. I think you should tell this dude, hey, you're a fucking creepy predator, and just move the fuck on with your life, because obviously you're in Capeside to get away from these negative influences. You've already moved on. You're already a better person. Don't fucking talk to this dude. Just don't. I know it's a plot device, but he's obviously a creep. That's when we leave off with Dawson just looking despondent because Jen took off with this guy, and Scott Foley, the football player, shows up and says, hey, I'm having a beach party on Saturday. You should invite Jen, and also asks if Jen has a boyfriend, which is pretty shitty of the whole situation. Obviously, Scott Foley doesn't know any better, but, it's just a funny situation. Now we have a situation with Dawson's parents again. They're talking and they're trying to figure out how to work and rebuild their relationship. Obviously, in the hurricane episode, we discovered that she was having an affair and he's still pissed about it. She suggests them going scuba diving. I'm assuming this is like an olive branch because he's always talking about his aquatic restaurant in all the earlier episodes. So she's like, hey, maybe scuba diving. He's a dick about it, suggests they do swinging or wife swapping. She brings up the fact that the therapist says they should try to work this out by engaging in stuff they've never engaged in before. And he was supposedly this Greek god in the early episodes. Everybody loved this dude. I didn't like him anyway, but now I really fucking don't like him, because I completely understand him being bitter at her for having an affair or whatever, but she's trying to reach out and rebuild, and it's like, dude, either get over it or be done with it. Don't just live in this constant state of abusing her in your home. And also, primarily, she seems to be the breadwinner, because I never see his ass work. I don't know if he works. They never really address it, but it seems like she's the primary breadwinner, and he sits home with his little diorama fucking around with his fake restaurant. I really believe that she's the only one working at this point. And it's like, dude, get over yourself. Whatever, I totally understand being hurt after being cheated on, but you're being a real fucking ass. So from that situation, we cut back to Dawson and Jen and Billy, and she says, moving to Cape Side was really positive on her, and that she doesn't want anything to do with him necessarily, and that she feels that he should just go home back to New York. He claims New York's too far to drive, even though that's obviously a lie, and says he's got no money to crash and doesn't have anywhere to go, so he should, be allowed to stay. Of course, he can't stay with Graham and Jen. So Dawson comes by and asks if Jen's okay, because she's obviously uncomfortable in this situation. And she pulls him aside and says, hey, do you think you could let Billy crash at your place? Jen, what are you doing, dude? Tell him to kick rocks. If he came there with no money, who gives a shit? Tell him to kick rocks. And of course, Dawson wants to know who this guy is, because why wouldn't you under the situation? He would obviously be concerned about who this dude is. And she confesses, yeah, this is in fact the dude she was boinking when her parents walked in that got her sent to Cape Side in the first place. And Dawson still agrees to let the dude stay with him? No, everybody say no to this. This is, I know, but it's don't do it. Just don't do it. That's when Billy is just a complete fucking asshole to him and basically says that, hey, I'm not leaving Cape Side until I get Jen back. I'm going to win her heart back. He doesn't really want to win her heart back, but you know what I mean. He wants to win the relationship back. And Dawson gives him the stink eye, and then he says, hey, if you want to ask me anything about Jen's, slutty phase, let me know, and I'll fill in all the blanks for you. And it's like, dude, at this point, any reasonable human being would just take a bat to this dude, or just be like, dude, you cannot stay at my house. And yet, that is not how this is handled. Next thing you know, Dawson runs over to Joey's house to complain about how Jen's ex is staying at his place, which is ridiculous. Joey's reasonably unsympathetic about the situation, and he says the reason he doesn't want to kick Billy out is because he doesn't want to seem petty. Dude, seem petty in this moment. It is completely acceptable for you to be like, no, tell this dude to kick rocks. He's obviously a creepo. Doesn't do it, though, because he can't do it. Then we have, in my opinion, one of the worst exchanges between Dawson and Jen. Jen thanks Dawson for letting Billy crash at his house, and then he expresses to Jen that, hey, this dude's here to win you back. And her response is so milquetoast and lukewarm that at this point, if I was him, I would be freaking the fuck out. And he may be internalizing it. He's freaking it out, but he's not doing it with his actual body language and emotions and stuff. But she says, he was always respectful to me. And I was like, no, he wasn't clearly not. That either was a complete facade or you completely misread the situation. I cannot believe, as big a dick as Billy's character is when he comes into play, there's no way he was even remotely respectful. And also, there's implications that some deep, dark, twisty shit happened while they were together. And I just don't like any of that, of course. Dawson handles this badly by basically just being like, yo, kick him out, which is you should have said that in the first place. That is absolutely correct. And he also says, hey, maybe we should go to Scott Foley's barbecue. Don't go to the bar. What is that going to do to help anything? Scott Foley clearly wants to get in Jen's pants. And also, is this supposed to be a distraction to the situation? I'm not really sure what your logic is here, Dawson. This seems like a bad move. And then she basically says, no, I don't have it in me to kick him out. And at that point, you should kick them both out. Because, if she can't kick him out and can't admit that she might want to get back with him, what are you doing, dude? You've either been outgunned or she's an idiot whatever, not an idiot, but she's obviously not in a situation that you should be with her in if she still sees this dude as somebody you want to be with. That's the whole situation is bad news. Joey shows up while they're working at the video store, and she's renting The English Patient because she claims it puts her nephew to sleep. I think that's a funny joke, but it's just sort of stupid. And she claims that Jen's ex is really a charmer and a nice guy. And really, of course, it's just that Joey likes the fact that he's putting a wedge between the two of them because she obviously likes Dawson. But it's a cute little exchange. I think it's fun. Whenever you have them bicker, it's kind of cute, but not always. Sometimes it's a little fucking frustrating. Then you find out Dawson's mom and dad did actually go on their scuba lesson, which I thought was a bit, but it turns out they actually were. So they come in through the door and they're bitching at each other, apparently the scuba lesson didn't go well, is what you can guess. We then cut to them at the ice house. Joey's working. Pacey comes in. to bother her and basically talk her into going to Scott Foley's barbecue. And he uses the carrot of Dawson being there. Her sister hears everything that's going on because Bessie's clearly working. And she says, you should maybe go to this little barbecue thing and get out a little more. Now we have the father-son chat with Dawson, and he basically asks him about what's going on with Billy. He explains that, like, being a cuck is part of your normal everyday life sometimes, which is just silly. And then he expresses how much he doesn't like the scuba diving lessons and how it's not working to rebuild his shattered marriage, which is a fun scene. Billy tries to make his big push to get Jen to come back with him to New York. She says no, she's grown a lot and she wants to stay in Cape Side and she wants him to leave. Billy continues to be a predator, and in this case he promises he'll leave Cape Side as long as she gives him a smooch. And it's like, dude, no, just tell him to kick rocks. Be like, dude, get the fuck out of here. Do not engage in any of this. Any of these negotiating tactics is an act of terrorism. Just tell the dude to get the fuck out of here. So now we go to the beach party. Everybody's hanging out. Pacey's trying to scope girls. Joey's there. Dawson beelines to the two of them and basically says, like, oh, we don't fit in here. Then Jen shows up and says she's really sorry about how the whole Billy thing went down and apologizes for the fact that she could have handled it better. Joey is upset and leaves crestfallen about the whole situation. And then we cut to Jen and Dawson talking it over, kissing, make up over the whole Billy situation. Then we see Pacey and Joey together, and Joey is apparently drinking, which she never does. Pacey tells her to cool it. Then we have more of the discussion between Dawson and Jen basically describes that kissing Billy goodbye felt a little more than just her kissing Billy goodbye, and it's like, dude, you shouldn't have kissed him at all, let alone kissing him goodbye. Like, you should have just not kissed him. Dawson gets pissed, calls her a slut, which isn't cool in the situation. I get him being mad, like, she shouldn't have kissed him, but you can't call her a slut. Like, that's the wrong move. And yet again, Dawson always does this shit. He always makes whatever the answer is, he does the opposite usually when it comes to social situations. He seems to be totally obtuse about how to handle himself, especially in this case. That's probably because he's immature and he's 15, even though he looks 45. So it's got to be what it is. But it just makes things really fucking awkward. Then we cut over to Joey, and Joey at this point is making out with some blonde dude. It looks to be a little date rapey, so Pacey jumps in the middle of it. They get into it. And Pacey punches this dude the fuck out, which I thought was cute. I don't know. I like it. I have a sneaking suspicion they're going to have something later on. Obviously, Joey's hammered and, laying out on the beach, and Pacey's her knight in shining armor in this moment. Dawson and Pacey take Joey back to her house to take care of her. They try not to wake up the baby and all that bananas. Dawson tries to apologize for all the drama and weirdness that's been between him, and drunk Joey puts a full-on tongue kiss smooch on him. Probably not her best work, but I get it. We have another brief scene with Dawson's parents. They both agree that scuba diving was a stupid idea and think maybe they should do something a little more simple. He puts on music and they start dancing, and you think maybe there's a chance they're going to get their shit together, but maybe not. We go back to Casa de Leary, where Dawson and Pacey are talking about Joey, and he tells Pacey that she put a lip smacker on him, and Pacey says, well, she's probably not in her right mind, because in her defense, she's hammered, which is true. I mean, I get it. And now we have the last scene of the episode, basically, and that's Billy in Dawson's room, packing up his shit, telling him, hey, you won, I'm never going to get her back, and then he takes off, and then you see outside, Jen is milling around outside. So she obviously still has feelings for Dawson. She wants to get back together with him. And then she explains in graphic detail how her previous self was very unhappy and developed self-destructing habits and did all this, leaping into relationships with people that she didn't really care about. And now she wants something different, and she's grown as a person. And at this point, what Dawson should do is obvious. He should be like, dude, I'm sorry. It was complicated. I understand you see your past and it threw you into a spiral, but now you're obviously growing and developing in a new person, and you like me and I like you, and we should just get back together and everything's cool. But instead he handles it like a douche, and he says, the next girlfriend I have is going to be completely different and nothing like you, and just storms off. And I'm like, Dawson, You're a fucking tool, dude. You continuously disappoint me with your behavior with the shenanigans. Ugh. So then credits roll. Okay, so what do we learn in this episode? One, full recap from start to finish. Tamara and Pacey are done. Now that's over with. Thank Christ for now. Joey has obviously expressed feelings multiple times now in open air for Dawson. Dawson now has to deal with that. Jen reconciles her past and basically expresses that she no longer wants to be that person and she wants to grow and be different than the self-destructive, shitty teenager she was before, and she wants to grow, and she wants to grow with Dawson. Dawson continues to be completely obtuse. He's obviously a douche at this point. We'll see if he develops into a more rounded character who I actually enjoy seeing on the screen. But at this point, don't like him. Don't like him at all. And I have a theory that Joey and Pacey are going to end up together somehow just because of his little white knight business at the barbecue. I kind of don't want to see Joey and Dawson together, but I clearly see that's kind of the direction they want me to take, so we're going to find that out in the next episodes, and we'll see what happens. And that seems to cover everything for another episode of your favorite and mine, Dawson's Crack. We'll get to it next time. Like and subscribe if you like it. If you don't, that's okay, I get it. We did it. Good job, guys. Love you.